Hey friend, welcome to Live with Ease and another yoga in nature practice here in Algonquin Park. We are on Macintosh Lake. Gorgeous, one of the best sights we've ever had. And this practice, we're going to move a little more and air out the areas of the body that tend to gather heat. So you can do this when you're feeling really warm, also when you gather heat from emotional heat. Okay, so get into your yoga cozies, find a beautiful place in nature, and let's begin. Begin resting back in a nice comfortable position. We're going to take our limbs nice and wide, inviting the cooling process into the armpits and the groins, as these are, in the groin I should say, as these are areas that tend to gather a lot of heat. So simply taking the limbs wide can begin to cool us down, creating space, breath in these high heat areas. And then take a few moments just to observe the breath, follow the breath. And then we're going to introduce the Shitali Pranayama breath practice. And I do have a video and its variations breaking down this breath practice. So be sure to take a look at that prior to practicing with this video. And so you can begin by sticking the tongue out, curling the tongue, kind of like a taco shape. And you're going to sip through the curled tongue like you're sipping through a straw on that in-breath. And then you're going to draw the tongue into the mouth. Take a pause. And then exhaling through the nostrils. Trying this on your own a few times, and each time you bring the tongue back into the mouth. Do you gain a sense of that cooling sensation from sipping through the curled tongue? And then as you exhale through the nostrils, allowing the weight of the body to completely surrender to the earth, to gravity. And then eventually let's draw the legs into the abdomen. You can take the legs slightly wider again to create that space, that air, that cooling sensation as you rock the legs side to side. And then let's roll completely onto one side. Take a rest, take a pause, maintaining the width in the legs. Drawing that top leg into the side of the body so you can move from side to side a few times, breathing into the groin. You can extend that top leg up towards the sky, up towards the ceiling. Yeah, extending in the limbs, creating that space, creating that invitation to cooling in the groin area. You can flex and point the feet, circle the feet, breathing in through that cooling breath through the soles of the feet. Yeah, allowing the soles of the feet to be free to the air, to the wind, to the sky. And then eventually you can come back to the center and rock the legs side to side again, nice and wide. And then placing the soles of the feet on the ground, right on that earth. Nice wide feet, walking them hip width apart or wider than hip width apart. Extending in the arms, really opening up and creating space in the armpits to invite that cooling process. And then you can let the legs fall to one side and then let them windshield wiper to the other side, so you can rock the legs side to side on your own time, at your own pace. Seeing if you can feel for the air, the space in the armpits, in the groin. So really opening up the body to invite, again, that nice cooling process. And then coming back to the center, bringing the legs, or the feet this time, hip width apart, and then letting that left leg fall out to its own side. Again, the arms nice and wide above the head. And then, of course, switching legs on your own time. And then maybe inviting the breathing in through the curled tongue, sipping in through the curled tongue. Inhale. And draw the tongue back into the mouth. Pause. Feel that cooling sensation. Exhale through the nostrils. And again, repeating this on the other side. And then let's bring both feet falling out, or both legs falling out to the side so that the soles of the feet are together. Again, arms nice and wide, space, air, breath, moving through the armpits, moving through the groin. So leaving the left leg where it is, bring the right knee up, planting that right foot, and then extending in that left leg. And then allow that right leg to fall out to its own side. Feeling for both sides of the pelvis, making contact, both shoulder blades, both arms. And then extending that right leg along the left. And then drawing that right leg back up. So taking a half circle with the right leg, actually a quarter circle, and then reverse that quarter circle. And then bringing that right knee back up to parallel so that right foot is planted, and let's add in the Shitali Pranayama. So breathing in through the curled tongue, tongue draws into the mouth. Take a pause as you exhale, plant in that right foot, and then rolling over to that left side of the body, left side of the pelvis. Trying this a few times on your own, at your own pace. Extending the arms above the head, really creating that opening. Invite Shatali Pranayama at any point as you roll along the left side of the body and back. And then eventually we're going to roll completely over onto that left side. Again, extending the arms above the head, really lengthening out in the body. Inviting the breath, the in-breath through the curled tongue. Opening up the areas that gather the heat. And then eventually coming back to the center. Extending in that right leg, keeping that left knee bent with the sole of the foot on the ground. And then placing the arms above the head once again, and then you can rock the head side to side a few times. The neck is actually another area that tends to gather heat, so as we roll the neck side to side, we're opening up the sides of the neck. And then when you're ready, allow that left leg to fall out to its own side, extending that leg, drawing it back up, creating those quarter circles one way, and be sure to reverse that quarter circle, again on your own time. Add in Shitali Pranayama at any point, breathing in through the curled tongue. Continue to cool that body. And every now and then you can take a pause and just see what that feels like. And then be sure to take that movement where you bring the left leg back upright with the left foot in contact with the ground. Exhale, press into that left foot and roll towards the right side. Something I didn't mention on the first side is keeping the trajectory of that left knee moving over the toes so it doesn't collapse, continuing to maintain that opening and space for a cooling opportunity in the front of that left hip and groin. So continue to find your rhythm, your process, eventually rolling completely onto that right side, keeping that left foot planted, left knee over the toes. Good. And then bringing the soles of the feet back on the ground, hip width apart. And let's practice a little bit of bridge. So again, taking the arms above the head. Inhale and sip in through that curled tongue. Draw the tongue in the mouth. Take that pause. Exhale, press into the feet. Roll and peel the pelvis and spine. And remember, at any point, you can add in or take away Shitali Pranayama, breathing in through the tongue. And then eventually drawing the knees back into the abdomen, nice wide legs, rocking the legs side to side. And then keeping that left leg drawn in, placing the right foot on the ground, externally rotating in that left hip, placing the outer part of the left foot, ankle or shin on the thigh of the right leg. You can feed that left hand and arm through the space between the legs and the right arm and hand on the outer part of the right leg, drawing the legs towards the torso and then again gently rocking the legs side to side. And then lowering that right foot onto the ground, extending that left leg up towards the sky, circling the foot and ankle. And if it's accessible, you can extend that right leg along the earth, along the ground, and then taking hold of that left leg and letting it fall out to its own side. Sipping in that in-breath through the tongue, creating space for that cooling sensation, that cooling process. And then you can also cross that leg over the body into a twist, cooling off the back of the pelvis, the sacrum, lower spine, that left armpit. And then eventually I can roll over completely onto the right side. I can bend in that right leg and extending that left leg up towards the sky. Breathing into the space at the base of the tailbone, sit bones, groin area. Really aiming to feel for or sense that cooling sensation through the soles of the feet. And then eventually releasing that leg back to the ground, rolling on the back, giving the legs a good shake. And then I can repeat that whole thing on the other side. So drawing that right leg in towards the abdomen. Externally rotate that right leg, placing the outer part of the foot, ankle or shin on the left thigh. Take hold of that left leg wherever it's comfortable. Gently rocking the leg side to side. I can extend in that left leg if I choose. And then eventually lowering that left foot, extending in that right leg, circling the foot and ankle, extending that left leg on the ground if it's accessible. If not, you can keep it bent with the left foot on the ground. I can take hold of that right leg and then allow it to fall out to its own side. Again, extending in that left arm. I can take it slightly on a diagonal. Sipping in or breathing in through the tongue on the in-breath. Drawing the tongue back into the mouth and then exhaling through the nostrils. And again, I can cross that right leg over the body into a crocodile twist. Inviting the in-breath through the curled tongue to cool the internal fire, internal heat. Inviting that cooling sensation in the right armpit, the back of the right side of the pelvis. And then eventually rolling completely over onto that left side. Drawing that right leg up towards the sky, lengthening in that leg. Breathing in through that curled tongue, inviting that cooling sensation into the mouth, into the body. Exhale, ground in that left side of the body, extending that bottom leg if you'd like. And then eventually rolling onto the back, giving the legs a nice good shake. And again, drawing the legs into the abdomen nice and wide, rocking side to side. And then consider revisiting bridge. Opening up in the front of the body, the back of the body, creating that space for the cooling process. Again, you can take the arms above the head, opening up in the armpits. And then when you're ready, we can roll over onto our hands and knees. If you're outdoors and are like me, you might need to brush off your mat a little bit, brush off that debris. And then take a little bit of time flexing and extending that spine, opening up the back of the spine to the air, to the cool breeze, opening up the back of the neck. Then adding in Shitali Pranayama at any point. And then of course, you can also, as you dome the spine, send the pelvis towards the heels and snake through flexion and extension. And then see what it feels like if you walk the hands a little further out in front of you and then lowering the chest towards the ground, pelvis towards the heels, opening up in those armpits, opening up in the chest. Inhaling through the tongue as you dome the spine and upper body, and then exhale, lowering the chest towards the earth, lengthening that tailbone away from the skull, skull away from tailbone. And then eventually coming back onto the hands, and you can make your way to a downward dog. Walking the legs nice and wide, creating that space in the groin, between the legs, opening up in the armpits. Good. And then eventually lowering the knees back down to the ground. Let's extend the right leg behind, and then turning that right leg out, placing the foot on the ground, and then the left hand on the earth. And then extending in that right arm above the head. Inhale through the curled tongue, lengthen, lengthen, lengthen. Opening the armpit out, opening the chest, receiving that cool breath. Good, and then eventually lowering that right arm, and then you can take a bit of snaking or undulating of the spine. Extending in that left leg, turning the left leg out, placing the right hand on the ground, extending that left arm up towards the sky, over the head. Inhale through a curled tongue. Invite the tongue back into the mouth, receiving that cooling breath, cooling sensation. Keep lengthening through the side of the body. Lowering that left hand onto the ground, undulating the spine in whatever way feels good. And then let's take that left hand slightly further out in front, and then lowering the pelvis towards the heels, turning that head away from that left arm. Inhale, dome the spine back up into cat. Exhale, lower the pelvis towards the heels, lower the chest towards the earth, turning that head away from the left arm. Sipping through the tongue whenever necessary or whenever it feels good. In and out at your own pace. Coming back up, shaking out that left hand, placing the right hand further in front. Same thing, lowering the chest, the pelvis towards the heels, and turning the head away from that right arm. Again, opening up in the armpits, embracing the cooling process. And then returning that right hand beside the left. You want to give it a bit of a shake. And then again, As a counter pose, go back to undulating the spine. How does the spine feel now? Regaining a sense of vibrancy and the cooling of our body's temperature. So this practice can also be warming, but warming in a way that we're not overheating. And of course, you can revisit downward dog at any point if that feels good. Walking the feet a little bit wider, opening the space between the legs. And then walking the feet hip width apart, and you can roll yourself up to standing. Extending the arms up towards the sky, reaching for the sky, lengthening the spine, opening up in the armpits. And then maybe turning to face the long side of your mat. And then lowering the arms down by the side of the body. And then rolling down as far as it's comfortable. And then as you roll up, stepping out with the right foot, taking the arms nice and wide, breathing through the palms of the hands. And then bringing that right foot back to hip width apart. Pulsing in the knees a few times if you want to bounce. Continue to let the weight of that skull drop. And this time as you roll up, stepping that left foot out nice and wide. Exhale, lengthen through the palms. Inhale through the curled tongue, bringing that left foot back to hip width apart, and then rolling yourself back down. And then inhaling, rolling up through the curled tongue, stepping that right foot out nice and wide. So rolling up and down at your own pace, finding your nice wide starfish. So incorporating Shitali Pranayama keeps us from overheating, keeps us nice and cool, and makes the practice a little more enjoyable. Next time you roll down, finding a nice, comfortable seated position so you can sit with your legs crossed. Or you can take the legs wide or even sit on the heels. So whatever offers you the most comfort. And then allowing those sit bones to settle into the earth. And on an exhalation, ground, sink the sit bones, lengthen the spine and turn towards the right. Extending that right arm out to the side. And then bringing that right hand on the right leg and then opening out that left arm, rotating the spine to the left. This time as you bring that left hand back to the right leg, inhale through the curled tongue, exhale, opening out to the right. So moving in and out of the twist at your own pace, sipping in through the curled tongue in the center, inviting the tongue into the mouth. Exhale, rotate. And the next time you come to the center, extend the arms wide out to the side, up above the head, interlacing the fingers for a split second, lowering that right hand towards the earth, inhaling through the curled tongue, lengthening through the skull, that left arm. You can lower the forearm onto the ground if it's accessible. And we want to aim to keep the left side of the pelvis grounding, or the left sit bone continuing to ground. Good, then coming back to the center, interlace the fingers, inhale through the curled tongue. And then lowering that left hand to the earth, extending in that right arm, lengthening the skull away from the tail, grounding in that right sit bone, inviting Shitali Pranayama at any point. Coming back to the center, rolling the shoulders back a few times. You can tilt the head from side to side, again at your own pace. Feel free to add in some half circling of the neck. Lowering that chin, drawing the head to the other side, eventually taking a full circle if it appeals to you. And then coming to the center, take a pause, check in with how you feel. Are you gaining a sense of the body's temperature cooling down? You can open up the elbows to the side, airing out the armpits. Allow the breeze, the wind to pass through. And at some point, inviting Shatali Pranayama here as we sit. Sipping in through the curled tongue, inviting the tongue into the mouth, and then exhaling through the nostrils. Again, each time you exhale, can you continue to sink the sit bones into the earth? Eventually you can let go of Shatali Pranayama and again check in. How does that feel? How does the body's temperature feel? And if the legs are still crossed or you're sitting on your heels, maybe take a moment to take the legs nice and wide. Again, opening up in the space between the legs, resting the back of the palms on the ground. Again, inviting Shatali Pranayama at any point, breathing in through that curled tongue. Be with this process, bask in the process, embrace the cooling sensation of the breath, the air. So continue to sit for as long as you like, taking in this cooling practice through the curled tongue or any of the other Shatali variations. I'd like to take this moment to thank you for joining me out here in Algonquin Park on Macintosh Lake. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to this channel, share, like the video, share the channel with someone who you think could benefit from it. And I'll leave you with this final mantra, bringing the palms of the hands together to the forehead, think love. To the lips, speak love. To the heart center, be love. Thank you again, and until next time, yogis, ease into your best life. Namaste.